John Russo is leaving me. I'm sad.
Yeah, you're traveling all the time anyway.
Yeah.
You travel here, you travel there, you travel everywhere.
That's true. But this is about you and not me. But he is right, folks. He is dastardly correct. You're going to Riverside to be city manager.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for you.
I'm excited too. It's a much bigger city than where I am now.
Yeah. Now I gotta ask you, why the decision to leave?
Well, so Melissa and I, my wife, have always intended to move to Southern California.
Yeah.
We had always thought we would do that after Sam and Gabe, my sons, had finished high school. But we were also, aware that opportunities don't always time themselves at exactly the right way with your perfect world scenario. Riverside became available in October. I got a phone call from a friend of mine who's one of the department heads in Riverside. He called in October and said, hey, the city manager position is open and you should apply. This is a good city for you to come to. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that because Marie Gilmore, who was mayor here in Alameda, Marie Gilmore and I have a personal pledge to her that as long as she's mayor and we're getting along, I would stay here. She took the chance on me to bring me here as a city manager, right? I was city attorney in Oakland.
That's right.
So part of the, if you will, the deal, although I wouldn't call it that, I would call it more a pledge, was if she gave
part
me
of your
the chance,
relationship, basically.
Yeah, if she gave me the chance and it worked out, I wasn't going to abandon her. And so when Marie didn't win re-election, that personal aspect, which is very, you know me, Zenny, that stuff is very important to me. That was no longer present. And I did some soundings with the Alameda Council, the new Alameda Council especially, and wasn't sure whether or not I was going to be able to rely on a long-term contract to keep me in Alameda. My contract was going to end in Alameda June of 2016. And that would put my sons at the end of their junior year of high school. I couldn't risk that the contract not be extended or renewed because then I'm moving them possibly just for their senior year and I'd have to take whatever came. I mean, what a lot of folks in the public seem to not always have in mind is that for those of us in professional staff, this is a career too, and we have families and we have needs timing-wise. So,
in other words, you're human.
Well, right, but folks kind of, have sometimes don't seem to remember that. So, looking at it, I just felt it was important to have the security for my family. Yeah. And when I couldn't get it here, and Marie was gone, so the personal pledge was gone, I got called again in November, late November, by folks in Riverside asking me to apply. I flew to Riverside with Melissa to look at the city and to talk with people and concluded that it was an opportunity that I should explore. So I applied and then I got the job in early February. I was told on February 9th after my second interview, pretty soon, like 2 hours after the interview, I was told, okay, we want you and we accept all your proposed contract terms.
Wow.
And so it's more money.
Sweet.
Yeah, sweet. It was more money, obviously. It's a much bigger city. Alameda has 75,000 people. Riverside is about 315,000. Alameda has 500 employees, approximately.
So you have a great contract with incentives.
I do.
You're like a professional athlete.
Yeah, I am. You have no idea. Riverside has 2,500 employees, so it's 5 times the number of employees. More than 4 times the population. Alameda's all funds budget is $165 million. Riverside is just under $1 billion.
Wow.
And so, from a professional perspective, this was really a no-brainer, purely on a professional perspective. And given that Sam and Gabe are 2 years from going to college, and I need to be able to pay for that, and given that Melissa and I were planning on going to that area, to Southern California anyway in a few years, it just all came together.
I have to tell you, George Zimmerman paid you a compliment at Libby's fundraiser last
You mean
week.
George Zimmer?
Zimmer. I said Zimmerman, sorry.
Yeah, I've teased him about that.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, George Zimmer. Yeah, it should be Zimmerman. But anyway, the most interesting man in the world says that about you. We got to figure out a way to get more money so that he can work here and stay in Oakland.
George is very sweet. He's actually a really, he's very philanthropic. He's a really interesting fella. He thinks he's a true intellectual. He really is always exploring different, really sometimes way out kind of ideas, but important ideas. And he's a personal friend, so it's nice of him to say that. When it comes to me, I don't think he's the most objective person. He's very nice about me. I don't know that what he said is true, but
that's true for all of us, right? So
yeah.
What would you consider your greatest achievement? Because let's look back. I got video going all the way back to when you were first city attorney, and the only reason I don't have more video going back before then is because YouTube was established in 2005.
Right.
So otherwise, I had a lot more. But let's go back before that. You ran for council. First time was Mary Moore.
1990.
Right.
It's 25 years ago.
Jeez.
I know.
Anyway.
25 years
25 years ago.
I was 12.
Yeah. And lost. Then you tried again in 94.
Yep.
And won.
Yep.
And was District 2 council member not once, not twice, but...
No, twice.
Twice, excuse me.
Then I became city attorney.
Then became city attorney in 2000. And three times.
3 times ever, yeah.
You, let's see, this is pretty good on my part.
Yeah.
You re-engineered the Warriors contracts, which were a mess before you arrived. You straightened out the relationship between the city attorney's office and a number of departments in this Oakland. And what am I leaving out?
I don't know. I mean, it's a career. It's 20, if you count all...
Yeah, but you even had a sandwich named after you, so come on, man.
Yeah, well, I liked having sandwiches named after me. It was, you would do a favor for, a new
like the
restaurant.
Parkway.
Yeah, well, so what would happen there, Zinni, was, a new restaurant would be opening, and the inspector from the county would say, do this, and the inspector from the city would say, do that, and the restaurateur wouldn't know what to do, so they'd call the district council member, me, and say, can you please get us one set of directions? And I would call usually Keith Carson's office, and we would figure it out. And then, the folks would always say, oh, that was great, thank you so much. You can eat here free forever or something. And I'd say, no, I can't accept that, that's a gift. I can't do that under the law. Well, what is it we can do for you? And I would always say, name something after me on your menu. That became the joke. So there was something at Max's. There used to be a Mexican restaurant called Calacas, which had a John Russo burrito. The Parkway had a John Russo sandwich. Like I said, Max's had a John Russo sandwich.
There's one other place, too, Spectro.
Spectro had John Russo special pizza. I just like doing that. I always thought it was fun when I was a kid that all those kind of Borscht Belt comedians had sandwiches at the Carnegie Deli in New York named after them. And I always thought, when they start naming sandwiches after you, that's when you know you're named. So when I was a council member, it was like I just wanted them to name things after me on the menus, because then you made it, right?
Yeah.
You're like, but I didn't, because I never got a sandwich named after me at the Carnegie Deli. But I don't know. I mean, you look back, you have things that you tried to do. My favorite thing, if I had to pick one, would be Neighborhood Law Corps.
Yeah.
Neighborhood Law Corps was the program where the city attorney's office sent freshly minted lawyers into Oakland's toughest neighborhoods to work on, shutting down problem liquor stores and crack houses, and directing better performance from slumlords, to get slumlords to do better by their tenants, often tenants who couldn't speak English. That program was recognized both at the state and national level as we got the Helen Putnam Award from the League of Cities in California. We got the Grand Prize for Innovation from National League of Cities. The only time an Oakland program has ever gotten both of those awards.
Sure.
And it was my idea. I didn't implement it. Alex Wynn implemented it. But it was my idea and my baby, and I'm very proud of it. Sometimes people in Oakland would come up to me and say, well, you turned that block around, but what about the whole neighborhood? And I would just say, are you asking me to apologize for making the lives of 50 families better? I'm not going to apologize for it. If I had more resources, I could do more, but these are the resources we have. Is that a reason to do nothing? And so Law Corps, really allowing members in Oakland's most challenged communities, the residents and small businesses that are there, to attach themselves to the health, safety, and welfare powers of the government and use those to better their neighborhood, I think was a really fun idea. And something like Law Corps, I don't know how it'll be structured, but there's no question we're going to do something like Law Corps in Riverside. We're going to resuscitate. Alameda doesn't have those kinds of neighborhoods. We didn't need to do a Law Corps in Alameda. But Riverside, while not as widespread in its problems as Oakland, Riverside does have a couple of neighborhoods that could really use the attention of a program like Law Corps. Neighborhoods like the East Side or Casablanca, just to pick two examples, really could use that kind of directed attention to clean up problem properties and people who purvey trouble and chaos and make it a hard place for good, decent, working people, God-fearing people to live.
Right, now, I want to go back to city council days.
Sure.
What would you say was your best work?
There's a lot of stuff on city council. I mean, I'm really proud in retrospect that not only did I support giving, this seems like, a nothing burger today because everybody does it, but not only did I support Oakland being one of the first cities to give benefits to domestic partners, but at the time I argued, and this is 1996-97, I argued for full marriage rights for same-sex couples.
Yeah, you did. Yep.
And I said this is a mere way station on the road of justice to full marriage rights. And at the time I was calling it new traditionalism because I was in my 30s and I thought I could coin big phrases. I didn't realize I'm really not that important. But when you're in your 30s, you think you are, right?
That's true.
But I was trying to argue for traditional values, but with a much more humane and expansive and inclusive and diverse approach. I didn't see a distinction between diversity and inclusiveness and what's good about traditional values, because there is a lot of good. I was raised an Italian Catholic. Obviously, there are a lot of values that, notwithstanding the fact that I'm a lapsed Catholic, there are a lot of values that I carry with me because that's what I grew up with.
Right.
So I'm very proud that I got that one right. I also am proud that the time that I was on the council, Oakland had truly balanced budgets, not fake balanced budgets, real balanced budgets. The fact that we implemented a 2-year budget system, that we implemented objective performance measures, most of which have not been continued. I mean, technically Oakland has a 2-year budget, but they keep changing it all the time, so it's really not effective anymore. And perhaps it will be again under the new mayor, because I think she gets it. Otherwise, there's a lot of things I did in my district. If you look at Lakeshore, the extending the necklace of lights of Lakeshore,
straightening out the curbs,
straightening out the curb
situation,
curb cuts for that would allow people who are elderly or disabled to not have to take a big 8-inch step down.
Right.
Remember the old steps?
Absolutely.
On Lakeshore?
Yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible.
Stuff like that. The banners on Lakeshore, the first business improvement district in the city, the process that yielded the new splash pad park. All of that happened in my 6 years on the council. So there's a lot of things. But in the end, I would say if I had to pick the one thing for my time in Oakland, it would be Law Corps.
Yeah.
Because that was close to my heart.
Anything you like a do-over on?
Yeah, sure.
Gang injunction, maybe? I don't know.
Lots of do-overs. No, not on the gang injunctions. The gang injunctions were righteous.
Yeah.
The gang injunctions were intentionally misrepresented for political reasons, largely opposed by people who didn't live in Oakland and wanted to make an ideological point and weren't really interested. There are people that I've come to believe who look at Oakland and they actually want Oakland to fail.
I agree with you, because then they have something to talk about.
Well, it's not just that. They want Oakland to fail because it's a weird kind of racism. I'm going to call it what I think it is, which is that we, the people, we don't want Oakland to succeed, because if Oakland succeeds, it ceases to be Exhibit A in the brief against modern capitalism.
Right.
And they're willing to sacrifice. And it's an interesting thing to me that both...
But it's something that they're not aware of. It's a psychological problem.
Well, it is a psychological problem.
I don't think they actually get up and say, okay, I have this big map like they're, Dr. Strangelove.
No. But the world never works that way for anyone. What I find so fascinating about places like Oakland is the unwitting alliance between the left and the right. And by that I mean, when somebody from the right looks at a neighborhood like Elmhurst or West Oakland or East Oakland, they'll say, look at those people, which you and I both know is always a trigger word.
Yep.
Right? Look at those people, it's because they don't have good values, they don't this, they don't that, and they point at the most antisocial and psychotic criminal behaviors.
Right. The thug, or a thug. It's like, and it's always a connotation.
But what happens on the left? On the left, who does the left focus on? The same people.
Yep.
Okay, we have to redeem them.
Yeah. I mean the white left.
The white left.
Frankly.
Right, that's right. The white left.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. And what gets missed is the vast majority of people who live in these challenged neighborhoods who are just trying to make ends meet in difficult situations, often with nephews or cousins or remote family members who are part of that problem that they know and remember when they were kids, and their heart goes out to them, but they're also scared of other kids like them. And there's fear. And there's all of these folks who are trying to do right, and no one from outside those neighborhoods on the left or the right seems to see them.
Right.
And to me, that is the definition. If you look, for example, I'm sure you're aware of this reference. Ralph Ellison in The Invisible Man says the defining feature of racism is that you're invisible.
Yep. Yeah.
When people on the left or right talk about these challenged neighborhoods, they want to talk about either how the police are an occupying army or how these people ought to be, dealt with by an occupying army.
Right.
Nobody looks at the majority of folks who live in the neighborhoods as the human beings they are. And that's what I've come to in terms of what frustrates me about issues like the gang injunctions in Oakland, where it seems to me that folks are willing to sacrifice the lives and the peace and freedom of thousands of good black and brown families in order to make an ideological point. And I find that frustrating, and for me, it's a variant of racism.
Yeah, I agree with you. I only asked the question because I knew it'd get a response.
Well, it does, because it broke my heart. It broke my heart because it really did. It broke me.
Because I didn't think that you did a bad job.
No, I didn't do a bad job on that one. In fact, the one person who did an actual analysis post the North Oakland gang injunction concluded that it was deeply effective at controlling violent crime within the gang injunction zone. And that should have been repeated throughout Oakland. There are solutions for Oakland. What is so frustrating about Oakland is there are real solutions, but they are ideologically not correct and will not be implemented because they would require an acknowledgement that the standard warmed over 50-year-old ideological, vaguely left, because it's not really left, vaguely left politically correct solutions are not adequate in and of themselves. I'm not saying those solutions are failures, I'm saying they're not enough.
Begs the question. Were you approached about being city manager?
No, I was not approached. I was not approached by anyone who had the authority to give me that job.
Interesting.
I was approached by several people who said, oh, I wish you would do this, you should apply for it. That was never going to be in the cards.
I started to make an April Fool joke. I was close. I thought, which one would have the most impact? And I thought, Gene. So
no, that did have a great impact. You fooled some people I knew. You didn't fool me, because you once did one on me about that I changed my mind and wasn't on me. So I knew it was an April. I always watch you in April.
Now, moving I think what bothers me about your leaving is that you're very talented. You're talented, but you also care. But the future, I mean, where do you see yourself? Last hurrah, I mean, you know, we're both getting up there. Well, we're not getting up there, but I'm 52, but...
I'm 56. I'm getting up there. I'm closer to 60 than I am to 50. I'm getting up there. No, I would like to be in my contract in Riverside is for 5 years. I would like to be in Riverside for 8 or 9 or 10 years. I wouldn't call it a last hurrah, because after I would be done with Riverside, I would probably continue... I would probably move over into teaching.
Consulting, maybe?
Consulting,
like Robert Bob?
Yeah, I would probably...
Because you're kind of moving along the Bob track, you know?
I am. I love Robert Bob.
Yeah.
I mean, that's no secret.
Yeah.
I'm a big admirer of Robert Bob.
I mean, and he went on and fixed the Detroit schools, or at least tried to, and did a great job. And, you know, he brought the Nationals to Washington. And
I think Robert is a role model for me.
And the rumor is he may be coming back to Oakland.
Who's that?
He may be coming back to Oakland under Libby. I don't know. But,
you know, Oakland could use Robert again.
Yeah.
We used him well when he was here before. You know, and I'm very proud of that I was part of the group that held out to bring Robert Bob to Oakland back in '97. So yes, I was proud of. I'm very proud of that choice.
That's something else you did too. Is you brought Jerry and Robert together.
I did.
Remember, I haven't forgot that.
I'm glad you remember that. I did, because I was...
Jerry Brown, now our governor, then Oakland mayor. So yeah.
Well, he wasn't mayor at the time.
He was about to be, right. He was about to be, yeah.
When those discussions about how those two very powerful...
Because Measure X was going to pass.
And Robert was concerned, because Robert didn't come here for a weak city manager form of government. So his attitude was, the deal for me has been changed. And so I... you know, talked with Jerry about, we really want to keep this guy. He's really talented, and the two of you together could really get a lot done. And they did.
Yeah, they did.
You know,
they sure did.
They had 5 really good years together. Nearly 5 really good years together. You know, it was inevitable at some point.
Until Jerry blew it, but that's me.
It's probably inevitable. I thought Jerry blew it. Well, they both have very strong opinions, and it was probably inevitable at some point that they would you know, sort of bump up against each other. I'm not, in retrospect, you know, with the 12 years that have happened since then, I look at it and think, yeah, that was probably inevitable. But it was a good run while it happened. Very good government at that time. What am I going to do? You know, I want to travel. One of the things I didn't get to do most of my life that I thought I would do more of was travel. And I have been fortunate enough to do a lot of traveling in the U.S. with my sons while they were little, as you know, all the baseball parks that we've been to, which was an excuse to take them around the country and show them museums and historic places. But
something else that you know played a role in trying to get a downtown stadium going.
I did. You know. I did. Lost that one. Oh well.
But you gave it a good show.
Gave it a run.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't want to wait till I'm 80 to travel. There's a lot of the world I'd like to see, and the only thing that's holding me back from doing that are the kind of career I've chosen in public service, which is cool. I mean, I like what I do very much. I'm very excited about the Riverside job. I had a great time here in Alameda.
Real quick, the Alameda accomplishments, what would you say? I mean,
getting the base from the Navy for no cost. I'd say that's number one. And number two, labor peace, but not labor peace where we rolled over, but labor peace where all of our bargaining units pay more. Well, let me put it another way. There are no bargaining units anywhere in the East Bay that are contributing more to their own pensions or more to their own medical premiums than the ones in Alameda. And that's happened on my watch. We are very close, I will tell you, that I'm going to council tomorrow night, and we are very close to, you've heard, a lot of people have heard about the upcoming, you know, financial bomb of post-employment retiree medical benefits for police and fire. We will be coming to council tomorrow night in closed session, so I can't give you details, but we're coming to council and we have the makings of a deal with our 4 public sector unions, where they will begin contributing to their own post-employment benefits while they are actually working for us. It makes a big difference in the city managing its long-term obligations. I'm going to be really proud of that if it passes.
Now, on that note, John, I'm going to miss you, but I'm going to come and see you.
You are going to come and see me. You better fly down.
Dang it.
I'll have a much bigger house in Riverside.
I could beat your butt at Strato.
Oh, you could.
All right, my friend.
Take care. Thank you.